I'm James Brierton. He is Scotty Powell, and welcome to a Carolina Weather Group forecast update on the Carolina Weather Net and across the different platforms of the Carolina Weather Group. I should start off by saying it is January 1st, 2022, 10:43 at night. It is still 70 degrees here in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And we are coming on the air, though, with there are no warnings. I just want to say that right off the bat. There aren't any warnings to tell you about right now, but we do have four out of four counties that have a overnight tornado watch that is up until 3 a.m. And let's just show those on the screen right now from the National Weather Service in Morristown on the Tennessee side of the border. And you can see those four counties right there on your screen right now. They are in extreme western North Carolina. They are Cherokee, Clay, Graham, and Swan. Now, will we see a watch extended further into North Carolina or upstate South Carolina, Scotty? Maybe.
Maybe. I think the potential's there. You and I were just talking. We both have our windows open. So if you're watching tonight and you hear like wind chimes or something, that's why. But still a lot of shear. There's a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere. And until that cold front really moves through the area, there's still that small chance that one or two of these storms could go strong to severe. So until that, they may throw up another watch. I don't know if it'll be a tornado watch. It may just be like a severe thunderstorm watch.
And I agree.
With that tag of a tornado or two possible. That was my weather radio. Evidently, there's been some kind of something going on with the tower that I use at my house. And it keeps saying a low connection or bad connection. So I'm not sure if the NOAA All Hazards Tower on Grandmother Mountain has experienced some issues today, but it's been beeping on and off.
Wait, there's a Grandmother Mountain?
There is a Grandmother Mountain.
I knew there was a Grandfather Mountain. I don't know if I knew there was You should send that into Weather Service because I just checked. It is not listed as degraded or out of service. There were no issues formally listed in the Southeast.
Yeah, I need to do that, but it's been chirping all afternoon, so you may hear that. I don't want to unplug it because I like to reserve the battery until you really, until you can really need the battery.
It's the type of night, folks, where you are going to want a weather radio to wake you up because we don't have an overwhelmingly high chance of severe weather overnight, but we can't completely rule it out either. So here's kind of the stitch as Scotty tries to decide what to do with his weather radio. But we have a slight risk that extends into extreme portions of western North Carolina from Asheville to the west. This is kind of more or less what that tornado watch is out until 3 a.m. And a slight risk is 2 out of 5 on the Storm Prediction Center's kind of risk of storm assessments. You will see that there was enhanced risk over portions of Tennessee and Alabama and Mississippi and northern Georgia. And I would say that more or less verified based on the severe thunderstorm warnings and the tornado warnings we saw earlier today there, 3 out of 5. And so the slight risk, we have about a 5% chance of seeing a tornado in western North Carolina, northeast Georgia, just barely into upstate South Carolina. We had a new viewer watching on Facebook earlier in Fair Play. And I would say they're kind of right in line there with that chance of seeing kind of the slight risk. Then working our way out from that bullseye, the dark green, that's the marginal risk at tier 1 out of 5. And that's really where from Asheville into Hickory, we begin to transition from a tornado threat to a wind threat. I mean, I guess it's fair to say that everyone has a wind threat because wind is wind, whether it's in a tornado or in a thunderstorm. But what's going to happen, and let me switch this over so I can show you tomorrow, we have a squall line that is going to continue in from the west. And that is going to roll through Charlotte at like 5 a.m. But then the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for tomorrow picks that up as a marginal risk for the remainder of the Carolinas, north and south, tier 1 out of 5, with, again, about a 5% chance of seeing damaging winds. About 60 miles per hour or so is what we consider damaging winds. And so this is really going to be an event, Scotty, that everyone more or less is in some sort of possibility of maybe seeing a little something. But I think in the middle of the night, if I manage to fall asleep, I'll hear that rumble, thunder, that heavy rain coming through, and it'll wake me back up.
Yeah, I think as we started off today, actually where I'm at in the foothills between Hickory and Asheville was in that slight risk level 2, and it's kind of been pared back today to more of a marginal threat. You were talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be one of those days we're going to have to watch our coastal areas from Charleston up to Myrtle Beach to Wilmington up into the Outer Banks back towards Raleigh. If we see any sunshine develop early in the morning, that may help destabilize the atmosphere. But I was noticing here in the foothills as the sun was going down, the clouds really started to stream in. James, I'm not sure if that was the case also in Charlotte. I know you
It
guys
was a
have had
weird day in Charlotte. It was like
yeah,
sun and clouds and downpours. It was weird.
yeah, I mean, we've had a few showers, gusty showers, here over the last couple of hours, and in fact, some of those showers was actually rotating a little bit over Cleveland and Rutherford County back around 8 o'clock or so, and that's the threat we also face tonight. Is any of these renegade showers? There's enough instability and enough shear in the atmosphere that they could rotate a little bit. So we'll watch that, but. As James said, the overall threat tonight will be that damage and wind threat. And as we say on this on the Carolina Weather Group all the time, wind is wind, no matter if it's rotating or blowing in a straight line. If it's upwards of 60 miles per hour, it can cause trees to come down, can cause damage to structures, and that's really when we see the wind damage really pick up. So we'll have to watch that. I would even be surprised. It's been gusty here all day, so even some power outages possible because maybe there's some of those. We've been in a drought, James, and some of those street systems may not be as sturdy as they need to be from the lack of rain and stuff. So we'll have to watch that threat too. But I really think the tornado threat will remain back to our west over Tennessee, northern Georgia, and it looks like that it's now. I was looking at your radar there. It looks like it's moving into the Knoxville area now. So I'd say another hour or two, and then it'll be knocking on the door of the North Carolina mountains, and then coming off of the mountains into the foothills and the Piedmont overnight. So it's kind of been anticipating this all day. We've seen this system really over the last few days. It's really caught our attention. And it's honestly, James, this whole week has been kind of caught our attention with multiple threats of severe weather. Thankfully, none of those yet have really materialized, and we hope this doesn't materialize either. But we'll continue to watch it, and it's a very crazy time in Carolina weather because we're going to be hot. We were hot today. Tomorrow's the transition day, and then next week it's going to be. I'll say winter-like, but honestly, if you look at the temperatures, just more seasonal,
Winter, right? Normal. It's gonna be normal.
It's gonna be normal. So,
it was weird. You and I were debating before whether or not we should be turning our air conditioner on, and I was holding firm at no air conditioner, but it felt like summertime. Still feels like summertime. It's muggy in my house. Looking at radar here on the left side of your screen right now, I don't. There are no tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings up along this line, which I would say bodes as good news for us here in the Carolinas, because we're only 20 miles out from this line coming in to the Carolinas. And so it was expected to weaken as it approached the mountains, and that is certainly what it's doing. Now, it is a fairly long line that stretches all the way back down through Mississippi, and I should tell you that the red boxes on your screen are the tornado watches that are out. So again, this is out for another 4 hours. This one that kind of dips its toe into the Carolinas, that goes until 3 a.m. We'll have to wait to see whether or not the Weather Service decides to extend it. I think they're waiting to see also what happens to this line as it approaches the mountains here. Because if we switch back over to Futurecast, and we were alluding to this a few moments ago, let me stop the animation so I can kind of just walk you through this. This is more or less real time where we are right now. And you'll notice it's still it's very broad. There are some heavy areas to it. And when the areas of precipitation and convection are isolated, they kind of can hog all the energy. But what's going to happen with this line as it makes its way over the mountains? Notice that the areas kind of consolidate. Some of them are still fairly intense at times, but what's going to happen as we go through the overnight hours, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m., and here comes the line into Charlotte. Just notice now, it's more or less an organized line. And on one hand, that sounds bad, but on the other hand, it makes it a little bit harder for the tornadic spin-ups to occur because now they're competing with the storms that are marching in line next to them. But this is why I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that I am awoken in the middle of the night, not for a tornado warning, but for a severe thunderstorm warning with damaging 60-mile-per-hour winds, because that's a pretty good looking line for, what is that, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning? That's 9 a.m., 9 hours from now, right?
Yeah.
It's 11Z. Somebody do the math.
Yeah, so 11, that would be 6 a.m. Yeah.
6
Because
a.m.
12Z is 7, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe.
So, and what's it's set up right along I-85. So this is about the same time. If you're watching us from the Triad, you're watching us from Charlotte, you're watching us from upstate South Carolina, and then notice the line makes its way across the entire Carolinas, through the Midlands, through the Sandhills, out to the coast. And as Scotty was talking about a few moments ago, if we get that sunshine in there, that'll keep that line popping. So we're in another day of, Brad Panovich called it babysitting the radar. My wife calls it nuisance weather because it's just calibrated up enough that it warrants our attention, but it's luckily not high enough that it's widespread and obvious to everyone. Because on those days, no one's saying, well, it didn't verify, I didn't get a storm. But like tomorrow, you legitimately could be in a spot that like it's not that bad. And you're kind of like, what were they talking about? It's a nuisance.
Yeah. I like the babysit in the radar. That's a good phrase that I like to use from time to time. And that's honestly, you and I were talking in our
things are blowing around the
company,
room.
our company chat, and we're both sitting here babysitting the radar. So it's like we might as well just come on and talk to folks who might want to hear our opinions and our takes on today's setup.
And we want to hear yours too. So use the comments, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you are. I've got a screen up with National Weather Service chat, but I'm looking for your messages as well too, because Scotty's exactly right. Scotty and I can sit here and like tweet at ourselves all day and be like, oh, I'm not turning the AC on, but it makes more sense to expand that conversation to you all. And we can kind of have fun with it until if and when something happens. But we're sitting here, so we're going to hang out with you and we're just going to talk until something does or does not happen. Because again, we're just kind of watching this line right now coming to Knoxville. I wonder if there are any DOT cameras that I can play with.
I'm sure Tennessee DOT's got something. Why you do that, James? I want to talk to you a little bit about, you're talking about the storm structure and the individual cells versus the line. So I'm not sure if some folks kind of tuned into some tweets that myself and Dylan Hudler were tweeting about this morning, but we actually were thinking about heading down to Alabama this morning to chase some storms to see if we could see anything. And we went back and forth over a couple of day period, looking at models and stuff. And last night we had a conversation, at least an hour or so on the phone, just kind of going over every scenario. And
why didn't you live stream that?
Yeah, we should have. We definitely should have done that. But today, kind of what prevented us or what kept us from going, it's a 6-7 hour drive. So you don't want to go down there and waste a whole day driving to see nothing. And so today in the atmosphere, it was so warm. I mean, we got up into the 70s here in the Carolinas. I think there was 80s in the Alabama area. And so what happened was there was a layer of warm air above the surface. We call this the cap. It's kind of like an inversion. When you want a thunderstorm, you want that parcel of air to really grow in the atmosphere and really push up. Well, eventually in that atmosphere, there's going to be some resistance, and that's the cap. And it takes a lot of updrafts to get that cap to burst, to really get that storm to blossom. And that cap seemed to be really strong, around 10,000 feet or so up in the atmosphere. And that kind of kept us away from going today. And then, so what do? We watched the radar today, and we noticed that we see these individual cells start to grow, and then they start to elongate and get into lines. And that was those storms hitting the cap. and going from individual cells more into a mini line of storms. And then thankfully, there was an enhanced risk, but thankfully, to my point, I only know of maybe one confirmed tornado in the Alabama, Tennessee area. There was several tornadoes up in Kentucky, out of all places. Bowling Green got hit again by some tornadoes. Thankfully, not as strong as what they saw earlier in December. But that was kind of the case today. These storms were competing for all the available energy, and they kind of just fought each other, and no storm really won. So that's kind of what we're seeing tonight. We see these little cells pop up, and then they elongate into a line of storms. So anytime we see those discrete cells, that really bears us watching because of the tornado potential. But I really do believe tonight, James, that the damage and wind threat would be the biggest potential that anybody in the Carolinas sees. So I see that you found some cameras. Where are we at?
Yeah. Thanks for the heads up. Watching there on YouTube. Thanks, Tria. And let me answer your question, Scotty. This camera is just south of Jefferson City. It's kind of right in here at about Bainbury. So this is off to the east of Knoxville. We're still looking on the Tennessee side of things. This is right where I-40 kind of merges then into what is this road? 66, Route 66, and a couple other angles here. So you can see, I'm seeing lots of cars, of course, with their flashers on, cameras bouncing around a little bit. And to your last point, Scotty, I think you're exactly right. And I think this is the mindset I'm going to have to kind of get myself into tonight is we need to be weather aware tonight. But I don't think it does anybody any good for me to sit here like doing coverage for 9 hours because there's a continued threat tomorrow. I mean, the good news for you all as viewers at home is you're only going to have a singular threat at your place of residence when this line comes across you from west to east. But it's another one of those kind of really drawn out events as we are continuing to kind of watch it knock on our doorstep here by exiting out of Tennessee now at the 11 o'clock hour.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to see this layout tomorrow as well. And then, do we even discuss what could happen Monday morning? Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can talk about that a little later on. We'll
yeah, I have a question we can talk about this setup first before you get into whether or not it's going to snow on Monday.
Can you believe that? From 78 here in Morganton today. I think Charlotte got 78, 79 today.
Well, I mean, we broke the record at like 9 a.m. or something stupid.
It was a record breaker. In fact, I'm sure a lot of locations today broke records. So, and then 48 hours it could be snowing. So,
yeah, we'll get to the snow in just a second. Let me answer this question, and I will admit I had to Google real fast where this was, and if I have my bearings correct, and let me know if I don't. This is in Northeast Georgia, just south of the North Carolina line, and so this actually falls fairly well into this graphic that the National Weather Service put out. And I'm going to put this on the screen to help tell the story here because this will kind of set the stage for this question and others. But it is between essentially now and 5 a.m. when the front's going to be coming through Northeast Georgia. And that's still in that slight risk. So that's that tier 2 out of 5. And we'll look at the percentages and the chances of different severe weather potential here in a few moments. And then that shifts off to the east. So we'll be out of Georgia and into upstate South Carolina, into approaching Hickory between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. And then that Charlotte timeframe from about 7 to 11 a.m. And then obviously onward from there. This is just kind of looking at the timeline for Western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina between, say, now and 12 hours from now. I'm going to switch on over to the Storm Prediction Center. The Weather Service has lots of different arms that do lots of different things, and we're here to kind of walk you through what all of them do. But let me see if I can make this nice and big. So this is the percentage chance of seeing a tornado, and you'll notice that hatched area over Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and the northern areas there that gets upwards of 10% plus. Luckily for us, really the mountains, the state line is the dividing line where we start to crank that back down step by step from 5%, including the location here in Northeast Georgia we're looking at, into portions of Western North Carolina where we do have a tornado watch. There is a tornado watch up for these locations until 3 a.m. So if you're going to go to bed, NOAA weather radio, battery backup. And then 2% chance as you make your way into Asheville. And then essentially the tornado threat is gone and it transitions into a wind threat. So here's the wind threat between now and say 6, 7 a.m. or so. Again, it's about a 15% chance in extreme Western North Carolina, Northeast Georgia. I mean, 15% chance of seeing damaging winds. That's noticeable here when we're talking about severe weather. It's not the same as like a 15% chance that I might get an afternoon shower. It's no big deal if I get a little wet later. There's a 15% chance of damaging winds coming through. You're going to be awoken by that. 5% chance of damaging winds then continuing into portions of upstate South Carolina, North Carolina. And then here's a look at tomorrow, right? So the tomorrow is at marginal risk, tier 1 out of 5. It's come down a little bit from what it was today in terms of this line and its potential. There's really very little of a tornado threat tomorrow, but it's that wind, that 5% chance of damaging winds across, again, really the rest of the Carolinas. So that's what we're watching for. We're watching for that threat of damaging wind. And I'm a little worried because it is a nocturnal event and it is January. I'm not sure if everyone picked up on the fact that, it's really hot out today. This is going to have to balance itself back out later.
Some pretty gusty winds out here right now. You can hear the whistling going on. Oh, man. Yeah. James, you were talking about that. It kind of popped up in my mind. We seem to talk about these percentages a lot when we're doing severe weather coverage and talking about storms. I think the chief booking officer myself, we might need to find a guest or two to kind of really talk about those percentages, because I can see to the general public who isn't as in tune to the weather as much as we are every day, could see a 15% and be like, that's nothing. But, to us,
to
really
your credit, our credit, and the credit of our guests, if I go to our most recent archive at CarolinaWeatherGroup.com, our weekly Wednesday night show, episode 387, which was kind of the right after our college series that we talked about. I have to pull it back up to get the names of the guests. I'm sorry, but we talked about kind of understanding risk perception, right? And that's honestly what I was trying to keep in mind today, Scotty, as I was writing a lot of this copy on social, was what this research from Emily Lenhart and Rachel Cross and their team really found was that people don't understand the words like slight, possible, low, high, medium, marginal, enhanced. I mean, half the time I don't understand what they mean, but people understand percentages. And so it's definitely why the Storm Prediction Center's kind of broken down categories there are really helpful. So let me put this in chat.
Yes, that would be good for folks to tune into. Good conversation. Those ladies are graduate students at OU, and that was
I couldn't think of the school.
Yeah, one of their
projects someplace.
One of their projects that they were working on, and some good information there. It really, really kind of opens our eyes in the weather enterprise perspective to to kind of communicate. And James, that's one thing that our business is really going in this direction. And we discussed this a little bit with Eric Thomas in the conversation we had with him. Meteorology and broadcasting, kind of what we're doing even here, was a lot about forecasting. But now in the day and time when you have these phones and you have any app available to you and all these different sites that you can visit, it's more about communicating. I think it's almost like a 50-50 or maybe a 60-40 where we try to focus more on the communication part than the forecast. It's trying to get those, trying to get that communication out there, because, if we can tell you all that we can tell you, but if you don't understand it, it's not really going.
Well, and I think about that with the radar, right? Okay, I just put velocities up on the screen. Half the time, I don't know what I'm looking at, and we can only do our jobs if we're explaining to folks what we're looking at. So velocity is the wind measurement of this radar here in eastern Tennessee, and I was watching those thunderstorm couplets. I don't even know if it's thunderstorms really at this point. Do I have lightning on?
I'm telling you, the wind is howling.
I do have lightning on. There is no lightning to see. But looking for that potential like rotation inside these storms, and we don't see it. I mean, we saw more rotation, Scotty, in those cells earlier today over Cleveland County, or the ones south of Charlotte even last night. I want to get to snow in just a second, but I'm awaiting an 11 o'clock update on the tornado watch. I see something has dropped into chat, but I'm also anticipating that maybe for further south of here, because Peachtree City was the one who relayed it.
Yeah, I think Birmingham in Alabama, I think they are going to
the southern part of the
reissue.
line.
Reissue that part.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, so we're continuing to watch these storms. It's 11 o'clock. I'm James Bryant in Charlotte. That's Scotty Powell in Morganton. And we will keep an eye on this. We do have that tornado watch that is up in the Carolinas for all of 4 counties. Shout out to Cherokee, Clay, Graham, and Swan. You have a tornado watch out until 3 a.m. There are, obviously in a continuation of that into Hiawassee in Georgia. I think I said that right. And surrounding portions of Tennessee. But Scotty, let's put that on hold for a moment.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Is it going to snow on Monday or what?
Well, you had the model data there. Do you want to pop up the?
Yeah, I
could. we can do 2
runs.
Show
and tell. Okay.
We'll do the NAM first because that's the latest and most recent run of the NAM, and then we'll have to go back a few for the HRR to get the extended run. So let's check out the NAM here. And so
this is the North American computer model.
Yep. So we're gonna scroll. We're gonna start this, and
you're gonna probably want precip type, right? Here's precip type.
Yeah, precip type.
And here's Sunday. So I'm already on Sunday.
Yeah. So
let's just take it back. Here's right now. Here's the rain. All right, Scotty, what do you want?
Yep. So here's the squall line that we're watching. It moves through.
Yep.
And so behind that, there's a new low pressure that is developing. And as we go in here, you can kind of see it develop there along the Georgia, South Carolina border. This is going to be going into Sunday night and Monday morning. So that front has moved through. Our temperatures are starting to cool off. And as we really get into the overnight hours, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, that northern shield of precipitation, the NAM, along with a few more of the more reliable models, I'm talking about the NAM, the GFS, the European, and the HRR, all 4 of them are on board with throwing some snowfall into North Carolina. South Carolina, I'm sorry, I don't think you're going to get any. This would be a North Carolina event.
Wait, are you trying to tell me it's not going to snow south of Interstate 85? What are you crazy?
It's kind of like that border there, that bubble that there's no snow. Let's go back to this frame right here. So here's the low pressure developing right there. What is that? Augusta, I think, just right outside of Augusta, it looks like.
Call it Athens and Augusta. Yeah.
And so let's go a couple more frames here.
All right, going forward, a couple more frames, 33 hours. The low is like
one more. This is going to cut. Okay, right there. This is going to be in the PD region of South Carolina. Right here, you can kind of see that dividing line. The mountain's obviously going to see snow. But now you can start to see that snow creep into the Asheville, Hickory, Winston-Salem, Greensboro. I believe this is, James, what is this? About 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So this is going to be Monday morning. Kids are waking up to go to school. And guess what? They might be seeing out the window.
Meanwhile, on Friday and Saturday, it was like 70, 80 degrees.
And I'm glad you say that because here's my thing. I don't think a lot of places will see it stick outside of the mountains. But I also believe if we do this another couple of hours, if we can go out the model. Yeah, the model. Let's go.
39 hours.
Let's stop right there. Let's go back up.
Okay.
So somewhere in this area, James, I think from the foothills up to Raleigh, there's going to be something we call a deformation zone.
Okay.
And that deformation zone is kind of like a band of intense snowfall. Kind of like a band of heavy rain in the summertime. somewhere in this area, this deformation zone is going to set up, and wherever that sets up, it's kind of like picking out where's that popcorn thunderstorm going to develop in the summertime. Wherever this band sets up, I do believe if the snowfall rates are heavy enough, we could see a light accumulation on at least the grassy surfaces. I don't think we're going to see anything on the roads. I don't think we have to worry about that.
No, the roads are
But
still going to probably be radiating heat from
yeah,
this summer
the roads.
experience.
I was looking at soil temperatures earlier tonight. Soil temperatures in the 50s and 60s. So it's not going to stick, but I do believe a good chunk of North Carolina on Monday morning could see some snow falling from the sky. The mountains definitely is some accumulation there. Outside of the mountains, I don't think so, unless you find yourself underneath that deformation band, and we just don't know where that's going to set up at right now.
I'm just gonna poo-poo this because people are gonna get all excited.
But
I'm glad.
I've been trying to put that out there. I was like, don't freak out. Don't say, oh my gosh, it's finally going to snow. It is going to snow, but it's not going to stick. Okay. It's not going to stick unless you're living in the mountains.
I mean, come on. It's not going to be 4 inches of snow in Greensboro.
No, it's not going to be 4 inches unless you can find yourself in that deformation zone. You may get a coating on the grass or something, but, it's so consistent with all of these runs. If you punch up the HRR, we'll have to go back to the,
okay.
Well, the 0Z is coming in, but I'm not sure if the 0Z is all the way in yet.
Well,
maybe it is. Let's get to the.
It is. I think this is the HRR Tuesday. Yeah, it looks almost very much like the NAM.
It does. So let's go to that precipitation rain snow line, and then we can gander at the accumulations. I don't look at the accumulations. You take that as a grain of salt.
You're right. And you know what? And I want to say, because you mentioned a moment ago, summertime thunderstorms, like, the amount of snow you see or the intensity of snow you see will be like whether or not you got an afternoon pop up in the summer, which no one really knows where it's going to happen. There's something else I want to draw to summer. People, including myself, so I don't want to make this out to be like other people. We put such pressure on forecasting snow.
Yes.
And what I mean by this is the expectation in the margin of error from a snow forecast to a rain forecast. No one cares if you got 2 inches of snow or 2 2/4. No one cares if you got 2 inches of rain versus 2 2/4 inches of rain or 2.5 inches of rain, but people do care if you got 2 inches of snow, 2 2/4 inches of snow, or 2.5 inches of snow. And the ratio of forecasting rain to snow, it's harder to forecast snow than it is rain. And so it's like the expectations and the reality. I'm from up north, and all I ever remember was 0 to 3 inches, 3 to 6, 6 to 12, and beyond that. And because you have these like wide buckets, but because snow is so rare and because snow is so exciting, we try to get into this. There's going to be half an inch here and an inch here and an inch and a half here and 2. Like,
it's a great, I love y'all to death. Okay. But I am going to tell Lonnie a little bit. You forecast 2 to 4 inches and somebody down the road gets an inch. They are legit mad that they didn't get that 2 to 4 inches. So
just like it can't be done.
And people don't get that mad when we call for 2 to 4 inches of rain and we get 1 inch of rain.
We don't even get mad at ourselves, right? I don't want to make this out to other people versus the weather people. It's like it feels less of a miss on your forecast when it's smaller parameters like that. Okay, so let's look at this and then we'll get back over to our current situation. Yep. So right now we're looking hypothetical snow event.
Yep, HRR. So this is a model that we use that updates every hour. It kind of reads the surface observations and kind of recalibrates to take into account what's going to happen. So we will get this run started, and this is going to be currently, there's that line of storms and showers and rain moving into the area. And then you can see over Tennessee, here's this extra low pressure developing in the South Carolina, Georgia area. Now this low pressure is a little bit, it's a little bit, I think on the HRR, it runs it just a little bit further to the north.
Correct, because on the NAM we were talking like Athens and Augusta, and now we're talking like Athens and Toccoa.
Yep. Just a little bit, but a little bit means a lot if you want winter weather.
Right.
A little bit means a lot. So now the low pressure is now back over here south of Charlotte. It looks like it's really
it's out over like Hamlet, Rockingham.
But look at this intense moisture that's in the mountains right here. I'm telling
by
you,
intense, you mean the dark colors.
Yeah,
right?
the darker colors. I'm telling you, some places in the mountains could really pick up some good snowfall. But we see again this darker color, this deformation zone setting up somewhere in the foothills Piedmont area. I'm telling you, I don't know who, but somebody on Monday is going to be like, man, the ground's white. How does this happen when it was 80 degrees 2 days ago?
I'm being such a pessimist just because, and I'm not even looking at like predicted soundings or whatnot.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I'm
not
brokenhearted on over like doing this too many times to be like, whatever, it's not gonna snow. But
I know.
But
I'm telling you a couple things here. I'm not looking at totals outside the mountains. Mountains definitely gonna get totals. Outside, it's a crapshoot. Sure. But two, this would be a great setup if we actually had cold air here. If we actually had some cold air here, man, we would be set. We would be loving life right now.
If it wasn't 70 degrees outside right now, I'd maybe be on board. I do want to point one thing out though, because I think this is realistic. That purple area of just mess in between, that's what's going to screw everybody up. That's what makes the roads slick. That's what sneaks up on you when you're not expecting it, when the rain suddenly turns to ice. And that's in Union County on this particular model run.
Yeah, so continue playing it out, because this really gets into the Sandhills, into the Raleigh area, and then even the coastal areas. So I believe there's enough evidence that I've seen. The GFS, the American model that we use, it comes in 4 times. The latest model actually had some snow as well. The European showing snow. So I'm saying I think there'll be flakes falling in the sky in North Carolina. There's always that dividing line of where, I don't want you to get your hopes up for accumulation outside of the mountains. So, if you live in Boone, if you live in Asheville, if you live in Newland, Avery County, the Great Smoky Mountains, you're going to see some accumulating snowfall. That's
You want to go snow tubing on Monday?
Yeah,
snow tubing on Monday sounds good.
Yeah. You could go snow tubing up there. The ski slopes are in desperate need of snow, so this is great news for them.
That is.
But somewhere outside of the mountains, wherever this intense band of snow sets up, that's where I think we could see at least a coating. I don't think it's going to cause any issues on the roadways, and it'll melt as fast as it accumulates on the grass because the soil temperatures are so high. But for a brief moment, you're going to be like, man, the ground's white for just a little bit. And then once that heavy snowfall stops and it gets more lighter, you'll start to see the snow start to melt.
You tried to predict road conditions. We can try to predict road conditions and we can try to predict the weather, but we can't predict the people who are in charge of whether or not school is delayed or closed.
That's right. Yeah, that's
human prediction.
Yeah, that's
fortune telling.
I don't want to say that the mountains will be out of school, but it wouldn't surprise me if we've seen some delays at least up in the mountains of North Carolina on Monday. Outside of that, kids, you're probably going to school even though there's some snow falling out of the sky.
I spotted something on this model run that I just want to explain to everybody why I am a lifelong snow pessimist. Because I grew up right there, right? We're in the middle of Long Island. There's this little dip. Like I grew up like right there. Okay. So let me take you to right about, sure. Great. Look, it looks like it's snowing, right? But pay attention to where the snow and the rain meet. It's not really that far different from where I live in Charlotte. This particular model run has it snowing on Long Island, but because the water there is so warm, I can't tell you how many times that rain snow line would creep over my house, and I would think going to bed, it's going to be a snow day tomorrow. It's going to be great. And then you wake up in the morning and it's raining.
Yeah,
I spotted it here, and I'm like, this is why I'm cranky about snow.
Sea surface temperatures definitely running above normal. So, anywhere along the coastline, we'll have to watch that. But, it's something fun to talk about. A lot of people have been asking, when's it going to snow? When's it going to snow? Well, I can say Monday it might snow, but I can't guarantee you that you're going to be able to go sledding or build a snowman or anything. But
when's it going to snow? About 48 hours after being 70 degrees. Welcome to the Carolinas.
I mean, That is why we love weather in the Carolinas, because you can go from one extreme to the other in a short amount of time. So,
And that is also what Eric Thomas said in the exit interview, that there's no place elsewhere in the country like the Carolinas, from forecasting beach weather to mountains. That's why we love it here.
yeah. And then wait till March when we start to get pollen falling, and then get one of these abnormal cold spells where we actually see some snow falling mixed with the pollen. That's always fun too. So, there's always that fun stuff happening here in North Carolina and South Carolina. But, it's something fun to watch, and it's something we're definitely going to watch over the next day or so. We're actually getting into that time frame where, we don't have to wait too much longer to see if it is going to snow. By this time tomorrow night, snow will probably be falling in the mountains of North Carolina. So,
he says, as we're sitting here doing severe weather coverage.
Yeah, as we're doing severe weather coverage. So, and look at the back. There was a chance of snow in Birmingham, Huntsville, Alabama, and Mississippi, and Memphis, all places that saw severe weather today. So, not the only place dealing with severe weather and snow in a short amount of time. So, something to watch, and hopefully it will be able to at least whet your appetite or give you a little satisfaction to see some snowflakes falling from the sky if it was to pan out. So, but James, I'm telling you, I don't know what it's like in Charlotte, but the winds are really howling out here. So that's ahead of that cold front moving in. So we are still monitoring that, and actually looking at some of our information here in the NWS chat. Some folks inquiring about maybe the extension of a watch in our area, but no answer has been given yet. So we'll keep our eyes on that as well.
Yeah, that's what I saw when we started talking about snow chances. I'm going to make a quick YouTube clip based on that last conversation, so more folks can find later on our conversation about snow. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Scotty, for just a second to kind of maybe give people a lay of the land here at 11:30.
Yep, so we can do that. We will give you a quick look at the radar here. Let me get a screen share up here, and we will pop up a radar here and let you see what's going on. So let's screen share number 2. All right, so here is a look, and we're going to pull this radar out to, let's go to the Atlanta Peachtree Seat office, and you can kind of see where these storms are at. Here's the Knoxville area. Takes my radar just a second to load in, so just bear with us for just a second. So here is the line of storms moving in. This is approaching the North Carolina border right now. So if you live in Graham, Swain, Haywood, Madison, up towards Mitchell County, Yancey County, down towards Cherokee County, this line of showers is moving into your area. No lightning being detected, no severe thunderstorm warnings. Just honestly, just some beneficial rainfall. Was looking at some data last night. Portions of the Carolinas were up to 10 inches below normal in precipitation for the year of 2021. So any rainfall is much needed, especially even up here in Avery County. We still have the wildfire going on near the Grandfather Mountain area. I read today that was 80% contained. So hopefully with the rain tonight, we can get that fire 100% contained. But these gusty winds, I'm sure, are really hampering some of that wildfire activity right now. But looking at this, here's Kingsport, Johnson City, Bristol, Tennessee up here. This is all uniform rain. As we go back into the Huntsville, North Georgia area, let's pull that radar up, kind of see what's going on there. Again, no severe thunderstorm warnings, but you kind of see these icons right here. These are storm reports where we've seen some damage, and you can kind of see some damaging wind in these areas. You can kind of see this line of storms right here. We're still watching this. This is where that tornado watch is still issued for portions of Alabama, still waiting for this tail end of the front moving in. So we could see some embedded tornadoes along this line, but this is some storms up here in the northwestern portions of Georgia. We've actually had some damage there in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area over the last few minutes. So this area is still kind of prime for some severe weather. And that is why portions of Graham, Cherokee, Clay, Swain County, all of these areas are under that tornado watch until 3 a.m. So we could watch, we could see some of those stronger storms move into this more unstable environment. Not sure yet if we will see that extension of a tornado watch or severe thunderstorm watch into our area. Hopefully, we'll get an answer on that soon.
We have an answer.
Oh,
The
good. We
answer
do
is
have an
not at
answer.
this time.
Good. That's good to hear. We like that. So we'll go back to the Greenville-Spartanburg radar, and you can kind of see there's some showers starting to kick off here in North Georgia into Oconee and Pickens County, up into Polk, Rutherford, Cleveland, Southern Burke, and Catawba County right here. And these are just showers, nothing major. Probably some gusty showers. We can trigger this. Let's see if we can look at some of these wind gusts here. You can kind of see right off the surface, we've got winds about 50 to 60 miles per hour. So if you are listening or you're outside or have been outside here, you've probably heard the trees swaying and some of those wind gusts. And that's why the winds just off of the surface are blowing anywhere between 40 to 50 miles per hour, making it a breezy night. So anytime we get some rain to fall, it kind of mixes those winds down to the surface, and that's where we see those higher wind gusts when we get some rain falling. But again, nothing severe in the area here. As a widen out, there's really nothing going on in Columbia over towards Charlotte. Let's check out the Raleigh radar. I know there was some showers earlier that kind of went through the area. So we'll see what's going on there. Maybe.
It's quiet out there, I imagine.
It is quiet. Yeah, we got
Warm
a few showers
windy.
up. Yeah, a few showers up here near the North Carolina, Virginia line, but nothing really major going on there. So that's kind of a look at the radar. Those storms or the rain showers. I hate to call them storms because we don't really see any lightning, but those gusty showers are moving into the North Carolina, Tennessee line. So if you live in Boone, if you live in Asheville, up towards Newland, Blowing Rock, you're probably going to see the rain and the wind pick up here over the next hour or so.
Yeah, and again, to show everyone here at the 11:30 hour where those active tornado watches still are, they extend from Tennessee, Western North Carolina, back through Alabama, Georgia. Did get kind of continued on the southern end, and that's what we were looking at towards the 11 o'clock hour. We have four counties in North Carolina, or really anywhere in the Carolinas, that are in this tornado watch, and they are Cherokee, Clay, Graham, and Swan, and that goes until 3 a.m. And as Scotty and I were just talking about a moment ago, we have no watches further east of that. And the current thinking, per the National Weather Service, is that the tornado watch won't. I don't want to read between the lines, because the question was, will the tornado watch be extended further east? And the answer was no, not at this time. So could a severe thunderstorm watch be issued further east? Maybe, but there's no lightning with these storms. There's no mesoscale discussion.
Yeah, and we would see one of those issued. Yeah, we would see one of those issued at least an hour or so before an issuance. And, it's knocking on North Carolina border right now. So that kind of read between the lines. We're probably going to let this go. And
I think they're going to let the watch go. But
let it ride.
There's no harm in going to bed with a NOAA weather radio next year. Maybe it doesn't have to be this close, but this is how close I had to get it in the video frame. And I'm going to check the batteries in mine, because especially with the wind, it's plausible there could be some power outages. And if I did need to be awoken in the middle of the night, I would like to know. And again, if you get a severe thunderstorm warning in the middle of the night, that means quarter-size hail or 60-mile-per-hour winds, and 60-mile-per-hour winds is going to wreak havoc. So maybe before going to bed, if you've got any loose Christmas decorations still out, patio furniture, and you got a place where you normally tie them down and bring them into the garage, go do it. It's probably what I'm going to do.
You're speaking of power outages, so I just pulled up the power outage map and see if there's any outages being reported. It's being super slow, so a lot of people must be on the server.
I mean, it's going to be the name of the game here for the next 12 hours, right?
Yeah, it's showing North Carolina has 3,264 out. Now, we can't tell you if those are storm related or not, but I've not heard of any major power failures in the state. So, that could be accustomed to some power outages here. Trying to get the county by county breakdown. That'll kind of help us discover at least where these are happening at.
I'm all for a calm evening.
Yeah,
I
me too.
I never want to root for severe weather, but given the fact that we have a chance of storms throughout the Carolinas again tomorrow, snow on Monday,
And maybe
if Mother
Friday.
Nature wants to take it calm tonight, I'm okay with that.
I'm just laying this out here. I'm not going to go into the details, but we're also going to have to watch next Friday as well.
Dude, one week at a time.
One at a time. I get it. I know. I've said that to other people, but if you had to ask me, if you had to put my feet to the fire, Scotty, which do you prefer to forecast? You know, what's your more what really piques your interest? Is it winter weather or severe weather forecasting? And mine is winter weather. I love forecasting winter weather, and so even though I'm not a big fan of winter, I do prefer winter weather forecasting over severe weather. So we're gonna watch that Friday time frame too.
Yeah.
It looks a little unsettled.
Nothing terribly exciting here, but finally some information to tell you about the Carolinas. We have what's called a special weather statement out from the National Weather Service. This is essentially a bulletin they issue when a storm doesn't meet any of the severe criteria, but it's going to get your attention. So they're trying to get ahead of it by letting you know that this is for Madison, Swan, Graham, and Haywood counties until 12:30. Doppler radar tracking heavy rain showers with gusty winds along a line extending 9 miles north of Newport to 17 miles southeast of Madisonville. Movement at 30 miles an hour with wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour. So you can expect the possibility that tree limbs could be blown down and unsecured objects could be blown around. This is Robbinsville, Hot Springs, Sanatila, town of Sanatila. Did I say that right? Anybody in chat? Smoky Mountains, Great Smoky Mountains National Park, Fontana Lake, Fontana Village. That special weather statement from the National Weather Service is for you.
I've heard of some of those places, but I've not heard the one that you were talking about.
Santeetlah.
Yeah, I have no clue.
When COVID's over, I want to do a Carolina Weather Group YouTube series where we just like travel the states and we just get to learn how to say all these places.
You got to do the James Spann thing, and we can go down to the Dollar General or to the local barbecue establishment, and figure out the people,
and meet so many of the people who are in chat with us tonight.
Yes,
like Strom Goodman saying that it's windy in Columbia, South Carolina.
That's that's a place we've not really talked about. That
Columbia
area. The severe weather threat for you will be actually tomorrow, so you can definitely go to bed tonight and not have to worry about anything. So the severe weather threat for Columbia would be moving into your area tomorrow morning into the midday hours. So
I get the map. There it goes. Trying to get the map to change.
Yeah, marginal threat there. So that's a level 1 of 5, the lowest of the levels that we have. So still can't rule out a damaging wind gust, maybe a brief isolated tornado. I don't really think hail is in the picture. This is not really a hail type setup, so it's mainly dealing with damaging winds and that possible brief spin up of a tornado. And this front, it's going to produce some heavy rain. I don't think flash flooding is a major concern because we've all been so dry, but if you do get a lot of rainfall in a short amount of time, there's always that possibility of seeing some urbanized flooding. Maybe the storm drains can't handle all the water at some time, and it kind of really causes some ponding or localized city flooding. So, but I don't
the areas
flash floods. Yeah, no flash flooding expected, but you could see some ponding on the roadways tonight or tomorrow morning. So
this is such a tricky spot to try to get radar, like most areas in the Carolinas, right? But you got because of the elevation, the Knoxville radar is kind of blocked. You got GSP, but GSP is blocked by the mountain. So if I switch to GSP, the range just disappeared because I can't even see it. So it's you're literally just
thanks, Mount Mitchell.
Yeah, just literally and yeah, you have Huntsville way back off to the west, but it's got so much else kind of around it right now that I feel like my best chance is Knoxville.
Yeah.
That's where the radar gets tricky, right? Because storms are forecasted to weaken as they go over the mountains. And we're sitting here, we're looking at this oh yeah, it definitely looks like they're weakening. I mean, are they? Or is it just the radar?
Yeah, Morristown's the best bet right now, but that's the big thing we've been talking about on the show here. You've heard us complain about it. We're not going to go into that anymore, but it would really be nice to have one more radar somewhere in the western central part of North Carolina. But
here.
Yeah, that Hickory up to Iredell County area would be super
Cover
nice.
that. Hey, we got a question from Feather Sketch. I have a question about what a feather sketch is. When's the best time to sleep or wake in upstate South Carolina? Wanting to get in some rest before the worst of it gets here. I am asking myself that same question. I should not have had Starbucks at 7:00 tonight because I either have to stay up and wait for it to get to you at about 3 a.m. It's not going to be to me here in Charlotte until 6. We have a timing graphic from our friends at the Weather Service. No sense in reinventing the wheel. So let's do that. Now, I think this is still relevant and accurate, even though I think they've been using this for much of the afternoon. So upstate South Carolina, I mean, so Toccoa, I would say this in Georgia, but like if you're kind of in Anderson, between now and 5 a.m. And then if you're in Greenville, Anderson again, Spartanburg, 4 and 8, Charlotte, 7 to 11. I would almost call that. And this is where I think some things have changed since this was published at 4:49 a.m. this morning. I would say Charlotte about 6 a.m. at this point. So give or take an hour or two on these times. But this is when the cold front, the squall line, will be coming through western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina, and don't want to exclude folks in other parts of the Carolinas, but your game is tomorrow. So Strom says he's going to go to sleep. I agree. That's probably a good idea. Grab the NOAA weather radio. Chances are you won't be awoken by anything, but it never hurts to be ready.
I've never heard of this saying while you're talking about this. Our friends over at Memphis Weather, talking about the potential of snow there. And I don't know if Eric is the one
coming back around to this. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if Eric is the one that posted this. But he said, flush the ice cubes and say a prayer. We could get a light accumulation to exposed surfaces by tomorrow evening. So is that a saying? Flush the ice cubes to get snow?
It sounds like one of those like myths. Like
I've never heard of this.
Sleep with a spoon under your pillow. I mean, we have a lot of myths about snowfall, right? In the Carolinas, like the furry worm thing and the like days of fog. That to me, flush an ice cube. Flush an ice cube with what? Down the toilet?
Down the toilet. Don't worry, we're going to Google right now to see if there's any truth to this. Oh, well, here we go.
I doubt since we're just talking
tonight. Since we're just talking tonight, says, want a snow day from school? Try these superstitious tricks. First, flush an ice cube down the toilet. Some say it's best to flush as many cubes as snow days desired. Then put on your pajamas.
352.
Turn your pajamas inside out and tuck a spoon under the pillow.
See?
These 3 steps make up a snow day superstition that many children and adults still cling to in hopes of a day home from school or work. I've never heard this. This is the first
You've never heard of any of these?
No, I've not.
Do you just live in the high enough elevation? You're like, yeah, it's gonna snow, whatever. I don't have to worry about it.
Yes. Go ahead and clip that too. We can put that out as one of our bloopers there. But I've never heard of that before. So I wonder if you guys are watching tonight.
We're
just talking. We're just talking. Do you is there any superstitions you like to follow for snow? Is there anything that you guys do to, you always heard, I'm going to do a snow dance. I've heard that before, but never heard about flushing ice cubes down a toilet and
that one I haven't heard. That sounds like a
spoon in your pillow and wearing your pajamas inside out. Interesting. I learned something new tonight.
Today we learned.
I'm going to tweet
Eric.
Okay,
we're just send him the link. Just let him hop in and explain it. Lighthouse says, my experience living in North Carolina for 40 years, we don't get a lot of snow without a coastal low. It's rare to get snow, but very rare when it's not a coastal low.
You're right. And that's why there's a lot of uncertainty, because that low is not on the coast. It's actually inland some. So, ideally for us to get snow, we'd like to see that low pressure off the Carolina coast, but it's situated just enough. Some people could see a little bit of snow on Monday. So
Yeah, just so we're clear here on these like betting rules, Scotty. If you tell me it snowed in Boone on Monday, like that doesn't count as like being correct because of course it's going to snow in Boone on Monday.
Okay, so what's the betting? What are we gonna? I'm gonna say this: it will snow somewhere in the Triad area. How about that? Is that good enough for you?
On one hand, it's
You can
far enough
you can hold me
north.
to it. I'm gonna channel my WFMY, hat here and say you can hold me to it. Somewhere in the Triad area, you will see snowflakes fall.
All right. Here we got another what I think is a question about superstitions. Brent wants to know: has Western North Carolina ever had a tornado? Brent, I apologize if I'm reading into this incorrectly, but Scotty, I think the basis of this question is
Numerous
that you can't have it.
tornadoes.
That you can't have a tornado in mountains, but you totally can have a tornado.
You can totally have tornadoes in mountains. It's happened numerous times. Back in April 11th or April 27th, 2011, the massive tornado outbreak that happened in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, moved all the way through the southwestern portions of the North Carolina mountains, produced tornadoes there. Where I live, we had a strong EF2 tornado on January 11th, 2012. So they absolutely can happen. And if you go down into Cleveland County, which is technically not the mountains, but it is Western North Carolina, that area holds the strongest tornado ever recorded in North Carolina history. At the time, F4, May 5th, 1989, went from Cleveland into Lincoln and Catawba County. And later on in that year, there was an F4 in Caldwell County as well. So,
I didn't know they held that record for strongest ever.
Yeah, North Carolina, that's the strongest ever tornado recorded. So, it definitely can happen anywhere, no matter the location. The beach, we've seen tornadoes come across from the ocean onto the shores of Myrtle Beach. We can see tornadoes in big cities like Raleigh and Charlotte. We've seen those, and we've seen them in the mountains.
That's another myth.
Wherever the conditions are present and the ingredients are there, you can get one to happen. So,
yeah. There you go. Little acknowledgement. Scotty, next time, could you come prepared with examples?
Yeah,
I can. No, I'm teasing you. You just like pull those off the top of your head. That was impressive.
Yeah, well, we talk about benchmark storms. 1989 was a benchmark year for Western North Carolina. And for all of the Carolinas, the tornado that happened in May, but in September, we had Hurricane Hugo, which, everybody remembers too. So 1989, a little bit before I was born, but, that was a memorable year for a lot of folks in Western North Carolina. So.
Oh, there's our YouTube stats. Sorry. I need to get the weather flow tech that Evan has when he goes up top Grandfather Mountain. I just want to record the winds like in this room right now because there's a window open. It just keeps
Yeah, I've got the window. Yeah, and you can, and actually it's freaking my dog out from time to time. She's sleeping right now, but she'll hear that and her ears will perk up and she'll start barking. Yeah. So
still no lightning though. This is I mean, we're looking, I have lightning enabled. I'm gonna double check. I have lightning enabled. Yeah, what you see outlined is the special weather statement. Not severe, but kind of the like heads up, something's going to happen. And then this is kind of the outer perimeter of the tornado watch. It goes until 3 a.m. But I mean, they're going to cancel that early. I mean, they may just let the line get over it for the sake of letting the line get over it. Unless they're worried, unless they think the back behind here is going to do something.
Yeah.
Never just speculating.
I think that's the tornado threat there. Just speaking off of just what we're seeing, I think it's pretty low.
I agree.
So here we go. We're canceling some tornado watches now, and that is one of them. Let's see. Cancels Cherokee. Oh, I'm sorry. Cancels Blunt, Jefferson, Knox, Loudon, and Sevier County in Tennessee. Continues Cherokee and Clay. So if you live in if you live in Knoxville or up towards Gatlinburg and Sevier County, or you're vacationing there, you are clear of the tornado watch now. So,
Okay, so that answers our question. It's just the leading edge they're worried about, and even then,
goodness gracious.
even then, here's a little just kind of like we've done this enough to kind of get an idea, only an idea of how the National Weather Services operate. Things are calm enough that they are canceling out the watch in a very timely fashion. When they are slammed and they are issuing lots of warnings and doing lots of radar analysis, canceling a watch is not necessarily a priority. But because they are like right on top of it, I'm just kind of like trying to read into the workflow.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
don't know
that
how many
leading
people
edge.
are working. There's whatever, but
Yeah, it's that leading edge. Once that leading edge
yeah.
gets through, that's where that embedded tornado threat is. You're good to go. So it looks like
But it's
Chris is
calmed down.
watching from. Yeah, Chris is watching from McDonald, Tennessee. I'm not sure where McDonald's at. I don't have to Google that.
Yeah, you do that. Why I check in with Cassidy here. She's in Blunt and have been worried so far. If I can explain at all, kind of our lightheartedness tune tonight, Cassidy, with the hope that it'll make you feel better. We are being this playful and fun while trying to provide this service because we really feel like the threat is very low. It's always good to be prepared, have that NOAA weather radio to wake you up in the middle of the night in case something happens. It's a non-zero chance there could be damaging winds, at least here in the Carolinas. I guess I should specify, is this Blunt, Tennessee? Near Knoxville? That would make sense, right? So the good news for you then is that this is past you. And yes, there is still more rain back behind this. And even down towards Chattanooga, they could get some more thunder and lightning. But I mean, because the National Weather Service is dropping that tornado watch as this front passes, rest assured, your threat is all but gone. I think you know you can watch the rerun of Betty White on SNL tonight and go to sleep.
Yeah, and McDonald, Tennessee, just to the northeast of Chattanooga, near Cleveland, Tennessee. That's where Chris is watching from. So your threat
Chattanooga.
also, it's not over with yet, but the worst is knocking on the doorstep. So
well, they had wind reports from earlier because they had. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. At least severe thunderstorm warnings. I can't remember if there was a tornado warning, but I know the storms were pretty intense when they came through there earlier. I'm sure somebody from the Tennessee perspective will tell me.
I wonder if Chris started watching when we interviewed Paul Barris, who was the chief meteorologist there in Chattanooga.
That's a great question.
It's a good
Chattanooga.
question.
I honeymooned in Chattanooga.
I've never been. I want to visit though. It's I've seen pictures. It looks like a beautiful city, but I've never been to Chattanooga. So
we did a lot of bike riding. Hey, there is a high wind warning for the Smoky Mountains near Blunt. And other portions of the Smoky Mountains extending into southeastern Monroe, Tennessee. This does go through the overnight hours because it is so windy out there, right? So a high wind warning, a wind advisory, those type of things can be issued, precipitation aside, because of the threat that wind can pose. Again, it's not really like wind associated with convective thunderstorm wind, but wind is wind. And so, again, you could, we were just watching a lot of Home Alone, like on repeat the last week or so, and the storm knocks out power, and then their alarm clock loses power, and then they're late and they forget Kevin, and spoiler alert. But that I think is a good possibility tonight, that you could be waking up in the morning to your bedside alarm clock radio flashing, if you still have one. And then you could forget your kid in the attic, and it could be a whole thing.
I wonder how many people still have those, because I still go off the alarm on my phone. I don't have a digital clock or anything. It's all my phone.
I need to fix this before we have an interview scheduled in a couple of weeks with Midland, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in February.
Yeah. This was my fault. I think I dropped it.
Maybe we can get you hooked up with a new one.
Yeah. We're coming up to midnight, and I think I can speak for Scotty Powell when I say I think we are going to elect to join you all in winding down and going to bed here in a little bit, and then keeping our ears out to the NOAA weather radios. And our overnight service, our nonstop service, the Carolina Weather Net, which streams on the Carolina Weather Group YouTube channel. You may be watching us on it right now. Will continue after midnight. We'll reset it, start a new live event for a new day. And that's a place that you can just park yourself any time of day to get real-time alerts, radar, skycam, forecast, the whole 9 yards, alongside the best of the Carolina Weather Group. You've heard us mention our weekly video podcast show. And then, of course, we break in to do live updates and conversations just like this one. Candace saying, got to take the win seriously.
Yeah,
Avatar
when you
TLA. What's Avatar TLA?
I don't know. I saw that, but you're talking about the.
Is that the last Airbender?
I don't know.
I think that's a reference. Yeah.
Somebody says they use the alarm clock on their weather radio. That's good.
My weather radio
is right. My weather radio is right beside my bed, but I don't use it as an alarm clock.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about Lighthouse Sunshine, but what I'm envisioning is somewhat similar to a mental image of what I envision happens when you like rent a lighthouse Airbnb on the coast, and it's like a very picturesque like commercial they decide to shoot there, and I could see a very quaint alarm clock radio inside my Airbnb lighthouse. Yeah, it's getting late. My brain's going in weird places. Chris said, yeah, it wasn't that bad. 50 mile per hour is in my neck of the woods again. This is back to Chattanooga, maybe more, just staying safe. Wife and baby are sleeping. Yeah, I have that same problem. That's another reason why, if we don't have to, doing coverage in the middle of the night's no fun, because then I get yelled at for talking too loud.
I don't think we're going to have to worry about that tonight.
I agree. That's good news for everybody.
I think we'll be okay with that. Yeah, surfing through the Twitterverse, and I'm not even really seeing any damage reports, anything from the Knoxville area, that eastern Tennessee side. Nothing really coming out of there. So yeah. I think that's more or less just turned into some gusty rain showers. That seems like what we are.
Yeah, I was just gonna go back to. Got to do something about that weather radio. You're going to sleep like that all night?
I don't know what's going on with it. I'm going to try to unplug it and plug it back in. Maybe that'll.
If you tried to unplug it and plug it back in.
But then when I do that, then I have to reset the time and all that. And I'm just like, oh.
Then you got to reset your alarm clock. It's a whole to do.
It's like,
all right. Anyway, here's the HRR model run for the next few hours, right? So here's about now and then an hour or two. Heavy rain. Heavy rain in places. Not to dispute that. I'm still trying to decide. And here's 6 a.m., right? I think I'm going to get woken up at 6 a.m.
Go back to that. That's a decent line. I don't know if there'll be any thunder or lightning, but that's definitely going to be some heavy rain moving in for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be rain pattering on my windows. It's going to wake me up. Scotty, what is this? You see right here when it tries to I know it's so tiny, tries to elongate on the HRR. What is that?
I don't know. Let's see.
Is it trying to tell me something? I don't know. I really don't know.
Maybe a little cell trying to develop
That's
there. Could
kind
be
of what I thought it was trying to tell me.
Yeah, because if you look at it, the storm motion is coming west to east, but the individual storm is more of a southwest northeast. That's kind of over the lower parts of the Appalachian Mountains, so maybe a little extra additional lift to produce an individual cell or something there.
Maybe. I've seen it before. So again, if you're watching us elsewhere, check back in with us tomorrow because we're going to be watching this line to slowly march across the Carolinas. I'm going to let you take this question from Eric.
Let's see. Hope I don't get woke up tonight here on Lake Lookout. What about the threat? I'm assuming Sunday for Catawba County. I think the biggest threat for Catawba County is going to be these gusty winds overnight and some rain showers. I don't really think. There is a severe weather threat there. I shouldn't downplay it. There is a marginal threat, but just kind of looking at everything and nothing really stands out to me that screams that, hey, we're going to have a strong storm or anything develop overnight. I do believe we'll see some pretty gusty winds at times, some heavy rain, but I think that's the biggest threat. would be that. So, Catawba County, you're in that, I think, 4 to 8, 9 a.m. time frame of when the line moves through. And things should be relatively calm. I mean, we're going to get some gusty winds and some heavy rain, but I don't expect anything severe.
Yeah, I was just walking the radar back. I thought I saw at one point like little cells kind of getting that like bend to it, but the bend is gone. And I was just like, was it rotating? I don't know. This is a hard area to get velocity too, right there at the Tennessee.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of flooding going on in Alabama tonight. My Twitter feed is full of some flash flooding pictures from northern Alabama. So
like the Huntsville area up here.
Yeah, I don't know how much rain they've got. Maybe we could look at the stormfall.
Yeah, we can ask the radar for its best interpretation.
But looking at the pictures here, at least 3-4 inches. It looks like.
I always get this wrong. Jared Smith's not here to yell at me. Which one of them do you like? The digital accumulation array or the digital storm total?
I know Jared's got his preference. I can't remember which one it is, but
I can't remember. And it's justified, whatever it is. But this explains the shape of the flash flood warning.
Yeah, that's some pretty intense rainfall right there. That's what we call training. That's the definition of training of
because it looks like train tracks.
Yeah. That's I don't know,
2 inches according to this product. Let me check the other product just in case I'm doing it the wrong way. I'll just read the bulletin in a second too.
Jared would be having a
see those other products saying 3 or 4 inches. Let's see what the product says. Between 1 and 2 inches of rain have fallen, with additional rainfall amounts between 1/2 and 1 inch are expected. And that was 10:40 Eastern, 20 minutes ago.
Just a little bit ago. Yeah, 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
There's some, and we got to remember, Alabama had storms earlier this week as well that produced some heavy rain. So ground was already saturated there. So kind of shows why they have a little bit of a lower threshold for flooding. We can't buy a raindrop around here.
Oof. No.
It's not going to be good for pollen season. I'm telling you, I hope we get some rain in here before pollen season, or else it could be off the charts. I don't know, James, have you noticed there's actually some tree buds coming out up here? I've actually seen some
blooming.
Spring,
it's kind of a problem.
Some spring flowers, coming out of the ground. It's kind of strange to see that on January 1st.
Yeah. I have noticed, and it's wrong.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, Scotty Bowell.
It's 12 o'clock somewhere.
Here. In the Eastern time zone. I don't think that wins us anything.
Yeah, Eric confirming there's some dogwoods blooming in Catawba County.
Yeah. I better go find my allergy meds early. Although, winter will be here on Monday, apparently.
On Monday.
Oh, it's midnight. My trains went off.
We were talking about this severe weather threat. Morristown office there just issued a severe risk is diminishing with a small window over the next hour or two of some strong storms. Far southeast Tennessee and the southwest North Carolina, risk will be transitioning to some localized and urban flooding. So the severe window threat is diminishing, and I think the next hour or two it'll probably be all but gone. So I think everybody should get some rest tonight, get some sleep.
Yeah.
As we've been talking about over the last hour, 2 hours, however long we've been on here, make sure you have a way to get an alert if one is issued. Don't foresee one happening, but we can't totally take it off the table. So have that weather
there's
radio.
A tornado watch until 3 a.m.
Yep.
For 4 counties in the Carolinas. All joking aside, that is there for a reason.
Yep. So have a way to receive those alerts. Weather radio is what we prefer. It's the best way, but I'm sure everyone's got apps on their phones that send out those alerts as well. So those are good too. But get some rest. Just be vigilant. Have your weather radio on your app on tonight, and Sleep with your windows open if you don't mind the wind roaring through your room.
Well, you may not want to sleep with the windows open because at some point it's going to be pouring.
That's right. You'll wake up then, I guarantee you.
You'll wake up when your face is getting wet from the pouring rain. If you're watching tonight on the Carolina Weather Net, our free service nested within our YouTube channel, stand by. We're going to start a new one in just a few moments, so we get a fresh 24 hours out of it, as we will be continuing to track severe weather across the Carolinas tomorrow. And again, we do have a tornado watch for Cherokee, Clay, Graham, and Swan in North Carolina until 3 a.m. And you'll get real-time alerts on the Carolina Weather Net all throughout the night. Eric, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your participation this evening. And to everyone else who's been hanging out with us here on the Carolina Weather Group, I am James Brierton. That is Scotty Powell. We will see you back as the weather warrants. Stay safe, stay weather aware, and
Happy
watch
New
for
Year.
snowflakes on Monday.
Yeah. Snowflakes, Sunday night, Monday morning. Send us your pics and your videos. Twitter, we love that. We love content.
It didn't happen unless you show it to us.
That's right.
Good night.